today I want to talk about the things I've listened to, and it's about people talking about their experiences and their worldview on money, their life, and also the choices they've made on investments or just decisions they've been making, and which could make or break their life. And on the way, there's the person who's giving slides to talk about the economy trends that we're having, and he asked about what do we think about our current economy is like globally. If you think about like from other countries like the America, or even locally in Malaysia, and then everybody just starting to give how do they think about this, like the recent thing that's happening in America, the kind of tax being raised that high, and everybody else just feels like maybe it's getting tougher with the situation. And locally, you'll be thinking that when he asked us, and then part of the people would say they're still doing good, and the other ones were just thinking that it would just get worse and not even better in any ways because of how America and China is fighting with situation. And with the slide, it gives which are the largest economic, I think the brand, which are the biggest one that we are depending to. And he's standing there, and what we can observe is that the United States of America is still having a GDP of the highest, which is at a $30 trillion at the highest one, and China is only at 19.53 trillion, which is about 20. And the third one, Germany, at a 5 trillion, which is a little not so many as compared to the top two. But from his talk, he just tries to tell us that even though many people were depending on China as the second large economic brand in our society or globally, but it's still not that big as to compare to the largest one, because in the global economy situation, it's always depending on the largest brand and the largest of that piece of cake to depend on many of these economy situation, which America will actually be the one that's deciding what's going to happen to the most of us. Like maybe I think the food that we eat and the necessities that you want to buy, all these things will be affected by how our biggest economic brand coming from this America, because yeah, it's the largest one, and China is not like how we used to see in the news that it's going to fight with maybe the America in order to maintain the situation. There's still a lot for us to think about. Maybe, in America there's something that needs to be done, or at least about the country and what is Trump making that's going to make a lot of people suffer or be affected from. And then from this slide, so from here it gave a slide that looks like a stock market rise or lowering down. I think this is the stock market crash, that people were doing statistics and they find out what would be happening, most likely from their studies, and they put in these AI factors and think about what is happening and what will be, and they just have a slide coming out thinking that, oh, it looks like the other stock market crash that's coming from history, 1929. And from what I heard is that this S&P 500 and vs the 1929 ones, it's like it looks similar. That so the crash didn't just happen in those times in the history, that says that this kind of stock market crash is making the world taking around 10 years to solve it, because nobody gets to have, I think, a fairer way to be solving this. So at the time they took 10 years, and it's that I think they had the Second World War to solve it. So if this is making us to reminisce from those times, it's a really bad thing. So it's just saying that this could be part of the season and what is happening right now, or could be. And locally, I want to talk about what I heard is that in Malaysia, like the situation that they're predicting from obviously news, for I think some organization made predictions that would Malaysia have their economy, our economy, to be growing by the next year, and it's just saying that's going to grow under some ways. I mean, with the predictions they are making. But the highlighted point is that it could be lowered down, which from the usual 4.7, it's growing and growing lesser to 3.9% from here. And from the thought of this, it could not be so much when you think about, because it's just lowering a bit down, but not the point where you think about, okay, each number is so important. But they gave us a number that this is actually 160 million evaporating if it's lowered down to this point. So just want to tell you that it's this much. And even though it's not our money, like to say, but it's telling you a sign of that market reducing what people get to earn and how it might affect the everyday of our life. I was really surprised by this slide because it's just info being told, which America, I think from here they said that they're actually having debt to be paid by the next month on June, which is they couldn't be paying it back because in their national bank they are already losing money by I think a few millions from what they have earned and they have lost, even though they are doing high taxes. So they have something to pay back, which they can't, and the debt is going to make the America could be falling apart, which is the biggest issue lying in here, because I think they said when the biggest brand of this economic cake breaks from the US, I think it's like they kind of go bankrupt, and then the US money is going to go from the usual dollar, and then it could get to zero in a day. So I think maybe they mean that it doesn't have value anymore, which means that it could also affect the other money structure or the system, because many of the business or the infrastructure or just the way people are doing business in the economy or sales, they're all depending on this biggest cake for the structure of this business world, right? For trading and stuff. So if US couldn't pay it back, then it's just going to make the global money and the way people been doing business and the necessities that you get to all have the kind of problem and stock market crash. And so from this slide, I think it meant that from this point, they're going to be releasing the bonds and try to sell them, and they try to get the price here to be lowered to some point so that when they can sell them, they still get some hot money. But since they couldn't be lowering down this, as you can see, Trump is not happy with not being able to lower down the percentage that they have to give out from their government. So if it couldn't be lowered down yet, which is hard to achieve by this point, that they want to sell the bonds to the people, and they're having this debt to pay, then they couldn't get the money. And I think it says, yeah, we're getting closer to recessions, which is bad. This is the 6.5 trillion of debt that the America's going to be facing by the next month, June. From the talk, obviously I listened to a few tips and the experience or stories from the people, which I can't finish them here. But some tips that were from the sites that we can talk about is that to obviously they try to give solutions on this, and it was that trying to teach people to be grateful with what they have, and not just in their daily life. I mean, it's going to now be also applied to companies, mass culture, and then it's a small thing. It's not like entirely of a movement that you can see elsewhere, but it's to tell you that when this kind of culture is applied to people around you, and or just within a company, that it could just improve under many situations that people have also been experiencing, how they get to maintain their income when they are in a tougher time. And so they gave another person, this is Warren Buffett, Warren Buffett, him. And from the history, they talk about this person is doing investment, who is the biggest investment person that's successful based on his company. And it's just telling that basically this person gets to earn the money not just because of how successful or how smart he is, but the way from his portfolio, he is a person with moral, with the way that he tries to earn his money from investment. It talks about the energy that these kind of people have. There are also history from their company that they never invest in things like doing beer, and they do not invest in gambling and other stuff, which is bad for the health and the people. So that's how they are like a walking person with morality, with a few of that, then their company is working fine and being the most successful one. And this is another slide, which this person, I think he is one of the most richest person, Li Jiacheng. And the slide just talks about how planting a good mindset is going to build your behavior into something that you do every day and becomes part of your life, and it's how it's going to affect the decisions that you make that make you who you are. I think the slide could be a little cringe if you read about it, but it's helpful. It's definitely helpful. Other than that, it also talks about how the current companies are looking for people and who they're going to be investing into, the way they're hiring people, even though it could be something that's really small. But even when companies from the Warren Buffett, the way they tries to hire people, they want to look for people who have qualities in their integrity, and then second, their intelligence and energy. So it's to say having these things is important. If you look into the career, because even from this largest model of the companies, they want to think about if someone can do the work, and then it has to depend on not only just their mindset, but if they have morals in any of the things they want to do, or are they professional in their work. So from many of the qualities that you try to build in, or just believe you have been doing it right, then actually even the biggest companies got to look for these qualities to help running their business. So yeah, it just gives you like ways to think about how is the current trend of what does a hirer actually need to run a better business, or just lets people to help running their company's business, and they look into someone with integrity, intelligence, and have a little bit more energy, which I think I need to be improving in that, because sometimes my energy weren't always so active yet, yeah, it's just something to be good at and think about how those things relate together and help make you a better person.